name is Muriel Jackson. I am head of the Genealogy and Historical Room and head of the Middle Georgia Archives at Washington Memorial Library, which is part of the Middle Georgia Regional Library System. I have been at the library 31 years this year, starting January 2nd. Well, genealogy is sometimes defined as the study of your family, researching your family, taking it back on all sides of your family, getting to know those who went before you. Some people say tracing your roots, that's another term you hear. But it's just basically learning more about your family, what made you who you are. So I saw an opening for a library. I said, well, I'll go apply for the library, and I got it. I worked there 6 months, and then I took a job with defects in accounting. And after 6 months, realized that was not going to work out. And there was the job I had just left back advertised because the person who had taken my position had left. And so I had worked at Shirling Library from '86 until '88 when somebody came into the library and said she needs to go to school for this. And I was like, nobody goes to the library. There's no such thing as school for librarians. They're like, yeah, actually there is. And so that next day I contacted Atlanta University, spoke to them, took the, I had been out of school 4 years, but not too long, so I didn't have to retake all the testing. And I managed to get full ride scholarships, and I got called upstairs to the boardroom, and they were talking to me because I thought, oh, what have I done wrong? You know, you've been called upstairs to the boardroom. And they're offering me a job down in genealogy. And I said, well, I didn't apply. They said, you didn't have to apply. They said, we talked to the staff there and who they felt would be a good mesh. And I said, well, she knows where our books are, so she can help people. So that's how I ended up down there. You know, sometimes you don't seek something, it seeks you out. And so from just I would go down on my lunch hour, eat lunch quickly. Usually I would eat lunch on my 15-minute break and then go spend an hour in genealogy looking through books or in microfilm. And so that's how I knew how to do some research and so forth. Because it's not easy. You know, it seems like it should be easy to me because I love research, but it's not always easy for people because you've got to know some background in history or understand something that has happened in history, because you've got to place your family in history. You know, when they say, well, why did my family move from Twiggs County to Macon? Well, let's see, it's 1942. War industry, great jobs are available versus maybe staying there and picking cotton or something. You know, you have to kind of see where their mind was going, or why they left Macon and went north. You know, you had Detroit had the big automobile industry. Connecticut, Winchester, you had a lot of the gun manufacturers there. So, you know, you just have to kind of step back and look at history and figure out why your family might have been doing what they were doing. When I got out of Georgia Southern, I came home and my dad was like, okay, you got a college degree, what are you going to do now? And I was looking for a job. I had a finance degree, actually, a BBA in finance. And so I was looking for jobs, had a lot of banks, but one lady told me, she says, you're gonna have trouble getting hired because you've got a college degree. I hire for tellers at the window. I don't want to hire somebody who is gonna move up and I have to retrain. And I was like, well, at least she's honest. Like most African Americans, actually goes back to the movie Roots. I saw it and got interested, and I went out to a cubbyhole where we were storing things that belonged to my great-grandmother's sister, and found the family Bible, took that, put it aside and did a little bit, and then life went on. Well, I think the challenge is in the research, and then when you discover something, you still have people that find something they've been searching for 20 years, and they get so excited and let out a big wow or a cheer or whatever. Nobody gets upset, they're just happy they found something. Quite often you come in with people who know very little. They say, I don't know anything about my family. It's like, when were your parents born? We track that now, because right now you have to get back to someone born who's head of household in 1940, who's living at that point to use the census records, which is always our starting point. And once you get that and you just work your way back through the census, sometimes you had 3 or 4 generations in one household, which makes it wonderful. And if you're doing your genealogy, we encourage people to try to do it locally, close to where your family was from. We're fortunate here in Macon that the Macon Telegraph at that time and the Macon News actually carried news for colored people, social news. And so you have the obituaries in the paper going back into the 30s. There are even some in the 20s. So it makes it a little bit easier when you get that obituary and you can look at it, see the funeral home, which leads you to being able to find a funeral card or the death certificate, which if you're lucky gives the names of the parents of the deceased person. to help you go back further. I mean, I still find something new every once in a while in the paper, something that I research it. But I grew up knowing some of it, so I didn't have a blank slate. Like when I came to work at the library, there was an article in Jet magazine about William Scarborough. I was like, oh, I know who he is, because I'd heard about him as a child. We didn't have Black history in school, but I still was interested and read more, and my father would talk about different people when somebody from Macon died that might be famous or something. And you know, Macon's musical heritage is going to be very well documented, no matter what race a person is. But general history about churches and the schools and everything else is what's getting lost. And so people can't appreciate where they came from because they don't know.